Hey y'all. Hey, Tony. That old school, that old school music always has meaning, definition. Thank you guys for tuning in to Rise High Radio. Let's talk about it with your girl, my Linda. Y'all know I'll be late too. Come on now. Y'all should know me by now. Y'all should be like, yeah, we're gonna get about 10, 15 minutes. Just me. Hey, that my jam. Just I used to sing, y'all know that already. But thank you guys for tuning in with your girl, my Linda. Let's talk about it. Y'all see the title and what it says. It is after the trauma. After the trauma. So I really wanted to discuss trauma on today. I asked a couple people on what I should talk about. My son, he always has some encouraging words, and then I called my girl, and she has some encouraging words too. So the result of it was trauma. A lot of us are going through traumatizing situations. So I wanted you guys to really identify where you are in your trauma, how to reflect in your trauma, how to really respond in trauma, because sometimes we do it totally wrong. And then how to get over this. Well, let me say not get over it, but how to cope with the trauma. Okay. So if you are listening to this, go ahead and hit that share button for your girl. Real good information that I'm going to be giving to you guys today. And if you want to comment or tune in or, come in with me, just let me know. Let me know. So the first thing I want to ask is, what is trauma? What is trauma? What is trauma? We always, oh, she traumatized. Ooh, they traumatized. They going through some trauma. What is trauma? To anybody, if anybody wants to explain what they believe trauma is, which I'm pretty sure you guys will be right. What is trauma? What does it mean? Trauma can mean a lot of things, right? It can mean a whole lot of things. But what is trauma? What do you identify trauma to be? So like I said, everybody knows what trauma is. Okay, we kind of have a small definition of what it is. We because we have went through it ourselves. So trauma is a damage to a person's mind as a result of one or more distressing events, which causes an overwhelming amount of stress that extends the person's ability to even cope with the emotions that's involved. So trauma is something that has happened to that person and is overwhelming, and they cannot get back to being before they were traumatized. So it's just an over amount of events that has happened that causes stress, that causes an overwhelming feeling. So and they can't get back to that that state before they was traumatized, right? So this is what trauma is. Trauma is damage to a person's mind as a result of one or more distressing events, which causes an overwhelming amount of stress that exceeds the person's ability to even bounce back from it. So they can't even bounce back from it, right? It's just over the top, over the top. So when we talk about trauma, I really wanted to break down the different types of trauma that some people face and some people go through. So there are 3 different types of trauma that we all have encountered in our lives, just because we live in a world that is traumatizing in general. Everything is traumatizing. Like if I'm walking down the street and I see a bird dead on the street, that's trauma. It's a stressful or overwhelming, distressing event that I saw that bird dead on the ground. So we live in a society, we live in a world that is traumatizing, period. Unless you live in a bubble, you can't get away from trauma. It's everywhere. So the first type of trauma is the acute trauma, and this acute trauma is the one event, just one event. And I really don't believe people have acute trauma. Just one? Shit, I've been traumatized like 1,500 times. So, so the acute trauma is a person that have experienced one traumatizing event, just one. So, like I said, a lot of us we don't really deal with this type of trauma just because we have had multiple traumatizing experiences. We really haven't had just one experience of trauma. The next one is chronic trauma. So this is where everybody is. This is where we all are. This is where we can identify. Chronic, which is ongoing. Everybody knows that chronic is ongoing. So it's a repeating type of trauma that happens over and over again, or you being prolonged exposed to a situation. So it's either repeating itself or you're exposed to it for a long period of time. That's the chronic trauma. And a lot of us are in this trauma. So we have been exposed. So one example of chronic trauma is domestic violence, child abuse, world events like a shooting or something like that, which we all kind of have experienced. The shootings that go around, that go on in our neighborhoods. And another one is a chronic trauma is a natural disaster. So like a hurricane, a flood, that's a traumatizing experience too. So what I'm saying is we are all in chronic trauma. All of us. Every single last one of us. Everybody. Because we are either prolonged to the trauma or having an overwhelming amount of exposure to the trauma, or it's repeating in our lives. So a lot of us can identify with the chronic trauma, right? And then, of course, the complex trauma is being exposed multiple times, multiple events. So say the fact that I got abused sexually, I got abused physically, and I was in a domestic violence relationship, and there was a hurricane. So that is that complex trauma. So you have had multiple events that has happened to you that has caused a complex trauma. That is the multiple events, right? So a lot of us can really identify with the complex trauma and with the chronic trauma. I know I can. And if you say you can't, then you're lying. You're just lying. So, and that's a form of trauma too. denial. So denial is a form of trauma, when you try to identify what trauma is. So how we cope with this? How do we cope with our trauma? It's so much shit going on, y'all. It's so much shit. I don't know about y'all, but it's been a lot of shootings. It's been a lot of deaths, of course. People are passing away. So how are we coping with this? Like, we blow, we drink, we just try to numb the stuff that's around us because it's too much. We're in that complex trauma where it's bam, 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 like shit happening, bam, 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 bam. We're in that complex trauma, and we're in that chronic trauma where we just keep on repeating, shooting after shooting after shooting, or people dying, death after death after death. We're in both. We are teeter-tottering through complex trauma and through chronic trauma, and it's been like that all 2020. Hey, cuz he says, oops, there we go. Nowadays, a growing chronic and complex trauma and more emotional depression. Absolutely, cuz absolutely. And that's what it's trickling down to, that us being exposed to the chronic trauma and the complex trauma is causing emotional distress and is leading to depression. Absolutely. That's my cousin. Shout out to my big cuz. Love you. So he is absolutely right. So how are we actually kind of dealing with that trauma? How are we coping with it? Because a lot of us are going through it. We are, period. And like I said, if you say you're not traumatized, you lying, boo-boo. You're lying. And it's okay. It's really okay. It's not okay, so to speak, but it's okay that you feel that way. It's okay that you identify that you are traumatized. It's fine. So the first thing we need to do is lean on our loved ones. Lean on our loved ones, or the people that love us. Even, blood is thicker than water. So if sometimes blood is thicker than water. So if you have friends, lean on them, because we all need each other. We do. We need each other. Stop playing like you don't need that person sitting next to you. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. So leaning on your loved ones, leaning on your loved ones and facing those feelings. If you upset, if you pissed, show that. Show that. Don't hold that in. Do not hold those feelings in. If anybody that talks to me that's close to me, they already know I say, let that shit out. Let it out. That's the only way you'll be able to go over that milestone that's holding you, or that stepping stone that's holding you. You gotta let that shit out. You have to. Let me tell you what I did. I think I explained this too. So everybody know that my mother passed away last year, February 2020, February 6, 2020. And Mother's Day, before Mother's Day came, I was conscious, very conscious about Mother's Day coming. So I made sure that I faced every feeling that came, whether it be sadness, frustration, anger. I faced it all because of the fact that I didn't want, when Mother's Day came, I didn't want to be so overwhelmed that I did, cause myself to be distressed. So we have to really face our feelings because, we always say, oh, I want to be strong. I got to be strong. Miss me with that. I am strong. Just because you cry and just because you respond emotionally to something doesn't mean that you're weak at all. It means you are human. It means you are human, especially to a traumatizing event. Now, I'm not saying a relationship. Now, don't be going saying that, my Linda said that I need to react to this out of my emotions. so I'm about to bust his windows out. Don't do that. I'm talking about like a death or something, you know. Hey sis, my sis says, hey sis, loving this topic. I've went through some of the trauma you are talking about. Absolutely, sis. Absolutely. And she has a story. I can't wait to convince her to write her book. But that is my sister from my father's side. And she has a story, I tell you, and she is strong. And I could tell you right now, I guarantee she didn't cry her tears, and she is still strong. Cuz is back on here, and he says, I see more PTSD cases here as a police officer in DC, Washington, DC. This is where he is. So he says, I see more PTSD cases here as an officer in DC that, I'm sorry, let me slow down. I see more PTSD cases here as an officer here in DC than what people really realize. I'm sure it's like that nationally. It is. Find someone to talk to, call and check on each other. He said the key words, call and check on each other. Stop with that front. Stop acting like y'all don't need each other, because you do. Because you do. You do. Period. You just do. Everybody needs everybody. Now, I ain't saying call your enemy that want to end you. No, don't do that. But call people, call your loved ones, because you guys need each other. That energy that's being transferred, you need that. Thank you so much, cuz. The next thing you need to do is prioritize your self-care. Make yourself important. Make yourself important. I'm gonna say it one more time. Make yourself important. Do something for you. So funny. I was talking to one of my clients, and my clients, you know, I teach my clients how to empower themselves. Because I don't want them to feel like a charity case all the time. So they asked me, like, what are you doing, Miss Melinda, for self-care? I said, oh wow. So they already know when I say I spit self-care, I spit it. You need self-care. So you really have to prioritize your self-care. It's very, very, very important. Very important. The last thing is be patient with yourself. Stop trying to rush this process. Stop trying to rush the process. Am I healed yet? Am I over it yet? Am I through it yet? Chill out. Chill out. We live in such a microwavable type of world that I've said that people want it just like that. Give it. Am I healed? Am I healed already? I want to be healed. Am I healed? Am I healed? Am I healed? Hey, Queen. Queen is my person, my co-person, my co-lady on Rise High Radio. Southern Queen, I said what I said. Her show is on Sundays. And I'm not sure of the time, but check her out every Sunday or every other Sunday. But just make sure y'all check the Rise High Radio page to find out the upcoming shows and the upcoming events. But like I said, be patient with yourself. Stop trying to rush the process. Shout out to the CEO. He's in the back doing my engineering. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. So being patient with yourself. Stop trying to rush the process. You like, is it done yet? Are we done? Are we done? Are we done? The process is what makes you. In the process, that's where you get all your knowledge from, all your self-confidence from, all your resources from, all your networking and connections from. So stop rushing yourself and be patient with yourself. Please. Please, please, please. Pretty please. As the kid. Remember you say pretty please? What does that even mean? I don't know. Pretty please. So PTSD. PTSD is post-trauma, right? So post-trauma is something that happened before the trauma, right? So usually this kind of happens in the earlier years of yourself, and then you realize that it turns into chronic trauma or acute trauma. I'm sorry, chronic trauma or chronic trauma or I didn't lost my train of thought just like that. Complex trauma. So PTSD is usually when it happens earlier in your years. So as a teenager, when you start living life, pretty much when you start to develop your independence, and a lot of us are walking around with PTSD. Don't even know it. We just walking around with it. We just, because we've been exposed to so much trauma. Like I said, trauma is something that distresses you and causes an overwhelming emotion. And when we are kids or when we are younger, we put that stuff in our subconscious at times and we hide it away. We hide it away. And it's not until we're triggered that we realize, like, oh my God, what? I do remember that. Then we start putting bits and pieces together. And then we find out, like, damn, I am trying. I done been through some shit. I done been through some shit. So when we do have PTSD, these are the things that we do. We avoid them. We avoid it. Like I said, we throw that stuff in the back of our head. That's just what we do. We start to develop different feelings, right? About certain things, certain scents get to us. When we walk past something, it triggers us just like that. Your brain is a weapon. You can heal yourself through your thoughts. There's so many different studies out there that you can do to heal yourself just with your thoughts. It's time for us to take back control of ourselves. I think we have lost ourselves and we stopped believing in ourselves. Yeah, we believe in ourselves to make do, like start our own business and stuff. But I mean, really believing in ourselves. We have lost that. And the reason we lost that is because of trauma. That's what trauma does. Trauma brings doubt. Trauma brings doubt. So when we talk about the healing phases, there is some healing phases that I want to discuss. It's only 3 of them. The first healing phase is safety and stability. So once we find a common area of feeling safe and stable, it starts the healing process. But I mean safe and stable in a consistent manner, not just for a split second. We really have to have a consistent a consistent space of safety and stability. It has to be consistent. It can't just be a split second. After we find that safety and stability, we start to remember and start the grieving process. Now, my philosophy or hypothesis in regards to the healing phases is that usually we can never find a safe and stable environment to heal in. So we never get to the remembering and the grieving phase. We never are able to get to that phase because we're still searching for the safe and stable phase. We can never find that safe and stable phase because it may last for a week and then it's back to chaos. Then we may try to find another safe and stable place. Then it's back to chaos. So we're teeter-tottering through finding a safe place so we can start to get to the remembering the trauma and grieving from it. We can never, we just like back and forth because it's never a safe and stable environment for us. We never feel safe. And this is even in relationships. Like we never feel safe and stable. So we can't remember how the last relationship affected us so bad. So we just become single, just like we done. Right? So the third one is restoring and empowering. So we always want to get to this phase, restoring and empowering ourselves. But like I said, we're still trying to get to that safety and stability stage of healing. So once again, let me go over this. So the healing phases for trauma, safety and stability, finding that safe environment, finding that safe circle, finding that safe space in your mind, the stability. You have to be there consistently to start the healing process of trauma. Then, of course, the second phase is remembering and grieving, remembering why you were traumatized and grieving from it, actually grieving. And then, of course, restoring and empowering. But like I said, a lot of us are just teeter-tottering through that safe and stable. Like we can't find a safe and stable environment. And you know why? Because we're always knocking each other. We're always judging each other instead of healing with each other. So we always have our guards up. So trauma automatically brings your guard up. And then on top of that, you have your guard up from somebody else trying to belittle you or talk about you. So like I said, there's really no consistent, safe, and stable place to start the healing process. So self-confidence. Self-confidence is broken when you're traumatized, especially when you are personally traumatized. So remember I told the example of seeing a bird laying in the street that's traumatized. Now, your self-confidence may not be broken during that part, but when you are involved in a domestic violence or abuse or in a natural disaster or anything like that, your self-confidence is broken. You start to disconnect from your own self. You start to put up a wall from others, okay? Because you don't want to feel that feeling anymore. Who wants to be traumatized over and over again? Nobody. Nobody. So you have detached yourself from yourself and your self-confidence is going down. So your ability to believe in yourself, that's self-confidence. The ability to believe in yourself, to believe that you can do things, you can do events, you can live this life or live life. That's self-confidence. So that ability to believe in yourself has been broken down. And as trauma continues to affect you, it breaks it down all the way. Like every time a traumatic experience happened, a little piece of self-confidence, bam. And before you know it, you're like, damn, I ain't got nothing. And that's when you're depressed. That's when depression gets in. And it sits in. And then that's when you need to no, ain't no probably. You need to seek professional help. Self-confidence is the only thing that we have to hold on. So I'm asking everyone for 2021. Can y'all please love on each other just a little bit more? I don't care if you don't feel like it. So what? Half of the shit I do in life, I don't feel like it. But if it's going to better you and that person, I don't see why not. I don't see why not. A lot of things that we do, and we don't feel like doing it. I want you guys to understand the importance of the human connection, and having a connection with another human is very important. The energy that's delivered between the two of you guys, especially if it's powerful, it changes things. It changes. So I would like for you guys in 2021 to love on each other a little bit more. Me and my guy was riding down the street. He shouted to somebody, "I love you, man." And he said, he probably ain't even heard that in I don't know how long. Stop acting like you don't need the person next to you or across the street from you, because we do need each other. We do need each other to survive. We really do. So when you are traumatized, this part is affected in your brain, the frontal lobe, which your emotions, all your emotions, your planning, all that. And it starts to be affected. So when I say that we do need each other, we do. Because when you are receiving positive energy about yourself, you are exercising those brain activities in order for you to build your self-confidence back. Of course, I can talk to myself, but I also can belittle myself and doubt myself. I can break myself down. And that's what we do. I ain't worth it. I don't amount to nothing. This ain't, I don't want to be, all that stuff that when that song came out, my mind is playing tricks on me. That's it. Because it can play tricks on you. So that's why it's so important for you to have a human connection with someone. Restore relationships. 2021. Restore relationships. Everybody like, I'm cutting people off. I'm cutting people off. No. I want to rebuild. I want the positive people on my team. I want, this is what I want. They're like, I'm cutting everybody off. I'm solo dolo. Man, I can't be solo because I need y'all energy. I need y'all energy to keep me moving. That's just the way. That's just the way. I need your energy just as well as you need mine. Now, if it's that negative energy, of course, you can't prosper. You can't prosper internally through negative energy. Absolutely not. But what you can do is start to connect with people that have that positive energy so you can grow and be the best version of you. I love y'all, and I really want y'all to practice loving on each other. So much hatred is beyond words. It's beyond words. Yes, sis, speak on it. So true, and that makes it so hard to ask for help. And I love you and I miss you. I love you too. I love you too. Well, gone girl. I feel you. Thank you. So once again, Y'all have to love on each other. That's the only way this operation is going to work. This is the only way that it will work. We really, oops, I don't really know. We really have to love on each other. We really have to love on each other. Seriously. That's the only way this operation is going to work. You're not going to get anywhere just with you. It's not going to happen. Growth cannot come from you just talking to yourself or you cutting people off. That's not growth. Actually, that's selfish. And it's actually ignorant that you believe that you can just do this on your own. I love you guys. I didn't want to come to pierce your heart this much, but it was on me to do. So I did what I did. I am always available. Not always. I am available if anybody needs to talk, if anybody needs to express how they feeling, or if anybody just needs some words of encouragement. I'm here. Like I said, I just want you guys to love on each other for 2021. Understand the importance of human connection and self-confidence. Build each other. Build yourself. And understand that this is the only way that this operation is going to run like it's supposed to. You can email me at mylinda@risehighradio.com. If you have any questions, email me, mylinda@risehighradio.com. Y'all know I love y'all. I love all y'all like play cousins. You know you love play cousins. Like, oh, that's my girl. We grew up. That's my play cousin. I love all y'all. And I really enjoyed giving this information to you guys. I really enjoy researching this information, but it's time to put it to work. 2020 has been a challenging year, and 2021 we're gonna need each other. So stop acting like you don't need each other, okay? Because you do. You do. I love y'all. I love y'all and I respect y'all and I want the best for everybody. And if you ever need me, oh, and if you ever need me, you know where I'm at. So I'll see you guys next Saturday, 10:30. 10:30. I'll see you guys next Saturday. But thank you guys for tuning in to Rise High Radio. Let's talk about it with your girl. So love on each other, respect each other, build each other. I'll see y'all next Saturday. Peace.